Greetings, YouTube. One of my subscribers, Feline Elage, whose name I always think I am butchering, I apologize, asked me a question today concerning arcane magic in Pathfinder and the OGL, and whether I thought that arcane casters should have some form of healing. And I have to say yes. Was it Monty Cook's? Was it Arcane Evolved, I think, that had a single spell list that everyone drew from? So whether you were playing a sorcerer or a wizard or a cleric or a druid or what have you, everyone drew from the same spell list. And giving arcane casters some form of healing, to my mind, makes sense. Now, I don't know if I would use the same spell list. I think that major healing things should still be the shtick of the divine casters. But arcane casters can reform flesh. They can change themselves or other beings into all kinds of fantastical creatures through polymorph spells and through alteration spells. So if you can do that, if you can turn a human into an orc, or an orc into a lion, or a lion into a dragon, even temporarily, you should be able to knit some wounds closed. So I think that there should be some form of healing. I wouldn't necessarily have it be any kind of like cantrip. That's a little too free. But some kind of low-level first or second level spell, maybe a second level spell if you want. It takes a little effort for the spellcaster to get to the point where they can start knitting flesh together, say. But some low-level healing. And Feline made the comment that maybe it should be some sort of ablative, parasitic type of healing, in that the spellcaster has to donate part of their hit points to heal the person. In that case, I make it first level. The person has to use their own hit points, and most arcane spellcasters don't have a lot of those, so you would not be doing great deals of healing. It's self-limiting, and it's not like having all spells being doing fatigue damage like some systems do, which I don't approve of, because that means everything you cast harms you, and I don't like that. But in this particular case, it's a very limited focus. I wouldn't have a problem with a parasitic style spell where the arcane caster is taking part of their life force and knitting it into another individual's to close a wound. And it's not going to be a huge amount. Say, for example, if a person's got an arrow through them, you're basically healing the surface. You're patching the skin so the person is no longer bleeding. But the wound channel still exists. So you're not healing it completely, but you're healing it enough the person is no longer in danger. They've been stabilized, and they've gotten a little bit back. They can use the limb, though with pain and discomfort. And that level of healing, to my mind, makes perfect sense. I even allow them to heal stat damage for this in the same way that they would loan their own stats. So if someone's got con damage, the spellcaster would loan them points, and then they would have to heal the stat damage on their own the way you normally do. Rest, recuperation, things like that. Again, a dangerous process for an arcane spellcaster who often does not have a lot of available points in the things that you're likely to see people have damaged in adventuring: dexterity, con, strength. So I think that would be allowable. I would suggest that people like this idea of arcane casters having some kind of healing ability. Look at the Dream Scarred Press book, Arcane Expanded. Psionics Expanded, I think it is. They have an entire class in there which is a healer. And not only can they do healing, but they can create a network of individuals where they're connected to them through their literal life force. So they can actually tell one of the people in that network is injured, and they can pool healing. So if they cast healing on one person, they can vampirize that healing and spend some of it on another person, even though that person is not the direct target of the spell. So they can say, I cast this healing spell, you get 6 points of hit points recovered, but I'm going to shunt 3 of them into you and 3 of them into Bob over there, who is across the room and is bleeding out. So I'm stabilizing Bob even though I'm not touching him. That kind of a thing is excellent, and I've often said that the psionic system in the OGL and in Pathfinder Dream Scarred Press is the best spell point system ever created, flat out. They're thinking of doing a Kickstarter for their third Dawn campaign setting, a campaign setting I've never had a chance to get around to fully read yet, which is a psionics campaign. And I love the idea of a fully psionic campaign. And they're thinking of doing a Kickstarter to do a Pathfinder version, which would include all of their wonderful work that they've done for Pathfinder with psionics. Again, highly recommended. Go out there and get Dream Scarred Press's stuff. You will not regret it. But it's a great example of how Arcane style casting, and Psychs, is in many ways an Arcane style of casting, can be used as healing magic, and you don't break the system by doing so. Now, you could also say that there is a precedent for this, because in the first edition AD&D book, and I just looked this up, I didn't remember if it was true or not, reincarnation was both a wizard and a druid spell. It was a higher level spell for a wizard than it was a druid, but it was. You could cast that. A wizard could cast reincarnation. And I remember that happening in campaigns in first edition, because we didn't have anything else to do it. We had a dead guy. We needed a dead guy not being dead. Cast reincarnation. And I have no problem with that. I think that it may be a little more erratic. Maybe you have a different list of the creatures that the person is being revived in. I've always liked the idea of people being reincarnated as an unusual race, or even as an animal. I kind of like that idea. But that's just me. Noble Wild for Pathfinder and for the OGL does an excellent job of how to play an animal in a campaign. Excellent reference as well. I've reviewed that book here, as well as all of Dream Scarred Press's stuff up to date. In fact, I have a new review pending for Dream Scarred Press. So I think that there is a precedent here for healing for arcane casters. I think it makes sense for arcane casters. I don't want to completely eliminate divine casting. I don't want them to be completely horning in on their shtick. That should be theirs. That's where people go to. They go to the divine casters. Maybe there is an associated social taboo of having an arcane caster heal you. And again, if you're using a parasitic style of healing, and I think that would work well for an arcane caster, maybe there is the implication that you are being tainted by arcane magic. You're not, but it doesn't mean that the social norms aren't saying that you're being tainted by it. It's, we have that same problem in the modern world. People don't want vaccines because they're afraid they're going to be tainted by something, even though vaccines are perfectly safe and they save lives. Some people have a social stigma about the treatment itself. You could have that in your campaign. Arcane healing could be viewed in a similar light, where people are like, I don't know, that arcane stuff, it creeps me out a little. I'd rather have my cleric do it for me, or my druid. I'm much more comfortable with that, and that's okay. But when the rubber hits the road and they're bleeding out, maybe, just maybe, they'll let the arcane caster close that wound for them. You know what I mean? There's the old saying, there are no atheists in foxholes. Well, there's probably no one in a foxhole bleeding out that's going to say no to an arcane healer. So I think you could do this. I don't think there's any reason it shouldn't exist. I don't want to eliminate divine healing. I think they should be the ones doing full-fledged healing spells, then the mass healing spells, and the heal spells, and the mass heal, cure disease, all that stuff. That should be handled by the divine casters, or the psionic version of the healer as produced by Dream Scarred Press. And again, that's a dedicated class to healing, so that makes perfect sense that they can handle all kinds of different healing things. But the arcane caster should have something. Like I said, they can knit the very fabric of reality with their spells. Why can't they close a wound? So I would love to hear what people have to say about this. This is a fascinating topic. I don't think I've ever discussed it before. It's always interested me. It's been something that has been debated in the D&D community since the first time that there was ever a division between arcane and divine casting. People are like, oh, why can't the divine casters do that? Why can't the arcane casters do that? Well, here we go. Here's an example. Let's have the debate. Let's have the discussion on this. But like I said, go out, look at Dream Scarred Press stuff. Check out Noble Wild if you like the idea of reincarnating animals. It's kind of cool. And you can, I think we can have a very interesting conversation here, folks. And I'm looking forward to it. Thanks.